Okay, we're here just prior to about 2 hours from the finals here at the 2018 NCAA Championships. It's been a crazy championships. It's been a wild one like they are every year. But right now I wanted to talk about a coach who's retiring, Barry Davis of Wisconsin. I've only, my interaction with Barry has been very limited. I've known about him for years, obviously. But he was three-time NCAA champion, Olympic silver medalist. As a wrestler growing up, I knew of Barry Davis. Never knew him personally. Just got into this world a little bit. I'm you know, as far as the totem pole goes, and people knowing me, I'm down here. I've asked Barry to talk for a couple of interviews twice. He's been more than willing, and today I just want to talk to Shane Sparks because Shane got to know Barry a lot better than I did. He's got some couple stories about him. And Shane, talk about Barry Davis.
Tell you what, Barry Davis, I've been around the sport for quite a while, more on the media side, of course, Big Ten Network most notably, but Barry Davis, I can honestly say, is the best human being that I've met in this sport. I was talking to Nick before, and I think this is pretty powerful. Barry Davis is the winningest wrestler in the history of the University of Iowa, one of the most tradition-rich programs. He is the most winning wrestler in a Hawkeye singlet. And over the years, as I've gotten to know Barry, when I see him now or hear his name, the wrestling doesn't even resonate anymore.
Wow.
It doesn't even resonate. It's all about, Barry the person. Barry, he's become a really good friend of mine, and Nick wanted me to share a couple of stories. The first one that comes to mind for sure for me would be, was going through some personal issues about four years ago. I was going through divorce, and it was a hard time. And Barry would call me like once a week. Just, how you doing? Can I do anything for you? Thinking about you, praying for you.
He's not related. He's
not
related.
Related. Just
he's not.
Nope. Just and he would do it. It wasn't just once. It was over. He's always been there for me. He's one of those guys, and you hear his athletes talk about it. I mean, he's one of those guys, if you had to make a phone call, you could call Barry Davis and depend on him. And I will take that to my grave. A couple other stories with Barry. In 2011, I believe it was, first NCAA championships in Philly, and I actually roomed with Barry. So he let me stay with him in his hotel room for the NCAA championships. And that year, by the way, was the year they took fourth.
Wow.
And what I remember from that is they had, I'm going off of memory here, like 3 or 4 guys in the semis. Tyler Graff, Trevor Brandvold, Andrew Howe.
One of the Rochelle's?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Those 3 for sure I remember, and they lost all of them. And I remember going back to that hotel, and I know Barry's in the room, and I got to walk in there like, gosh, I hope he's sleeping. Like, I really don't. What do I say to him? So I walk in there, and the lights out, and he's like, I think he's sleeping. So I'm like, great, this is good. He's sleeping. So I walk in there, and I'm kind of tiptoeing in there, being real quiet, and all of a sudden, Barry he goes, we got to be on their legs more, or they were too much on our legs, something like that.
Cool.
And we got up and.
So he was awake. You weren't talking in his sleep.
No, we got up. He kind of, we just had a real good conversation about it, and I'll always remember that. And then that same trip, Barry and I were going to get some lunch in Philadelphia, and there was a homeless guy that wanted some money from Barry. And Barry goes, he's like, and Barry's like, pretty intense. He's like, come here. And we went into a Quiznos Subs, and Barry bought him lunch. I mean, it was just, he's a salt of the earth guy. I remember one time him and I went on a car ride. We went from, we were going to northern Iowa. Him and I, Wisconsin was wrestling northern Iowa. It was a Saturday night, and him and I got in his car. I went down to his place in Madison, and him and I drove down to UNI together. And it was a few-hour car ride, and just talking about life, and I'll really miss him. I mean, he's an awesome human being, and definitely wish him the best. And I definitely plan on staying in touch with Barry for forever. He's become a real good friend, and it was awesome that Evan Wick gave him I just liked how he handled that. Evan Wick, All-American for Wisconsin, redshirt freshman from California.
Ends it with his
third
signature
place
move.
with the cradle.
Yep.
Right. Gets the pin.
Yep.
As an All-American, lifted Barry up.
That was
the PA guys did a great job, recognizing him, and Barry wears his emotion on his sleeve too, and that's something else I've really appreciated with him. But he's awesome. He's an awesome guy.
To Shane's point, I had the opportunity to talk with Barry after Wick's match, and knowing that he was wrapping things up, I said, Barry, there's a lot of coaches who cite other coaches who was influential on you? Who was influential on you, Barry? And to Shane's point, he didn't name another coach, although I'm sure there were quite a few who were. He stopped. He cut my question short. He said, "My dad." And like Shane just said, he in that moment, not embarrassed at all. He started to get emotional. He unnecessarily apologized to me. And again, to Shane's point, it spoke to me as someone who doesn't know him nearly as well. Like, wow, what the human stuff was the real important stuff to Barry Davis.
Yeah, we all remember. He's battled some adversity.
Yeah.
Lost his brother. That was really tough,
Suddenly.
and he just perseveres. He just perseveres. But I think his value as a coach is definitely, obviously he was a great wrestler, but I think it's just on. Really, and you hear this all the time. Everybody says this, but with Barry, it is so true. He's a guy that if you get to know him, he'll take a bullet for you, and you'll do the same for him. He's just one of those guys.
Great. Well, I really appreciate it. I appreciate getting to know this guy who I've watched for years.
It's fun.
Watch my Inside Trip.
Nick's Quick Sticks.
Yes.
Check it out on TrackWrestling.com.
Awesome.
Weekly read. I never miss it.
Thank you.
Great season.
Take care. Yep.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks.